Hey everyone, welcome to Strange Stories, where we explore near-death experiences and supernatural stories from people who've had a glimpse of the other side. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Without further ado, let's get to the story of the day. I went to bed as usual. I became aware while sleeping, and at first, it appeared to be a dream because it was so surreal. I awoke inside my dream to find myself in a dimly lit, gray metallic room. There were 3 tables in front of me, and I chose the middle one. I quickly realized I'd been there before and didn't belong, as in, I was just passing through. A woman was already lying on one of the 3 tables to my left. A different woman was getting ready to lie down on the table to my right. All 3 tables had a woman sitting far to the right. She was supposed to be there because she worked there. She had a place there. I was familiar with the procedure. I approached this lady who didn't belong there and turned my back on her. She then did something to my spine around my neck or shoulders after I lifted my hair off my neck. There was no sound, no talking, and no commands. I returned to the middle table and began. This is where there was a change in clarity. I was aware and watching what was happening up to this point, so I was lucid. But something changed once I was on the table. I found myself looking down from above at this deflated thing on the table. I had nothing to do with it. As I studied it, it struck me as odd. It reminded me of a deflated balloon or a squeezed out tube of toothpaste. As I continued to look at what was on the table, I noticed a familiar face and realized I knew who it belonged to. It was my fault. My clarity increased as if a switch had been flipped. I was fully awake and functional now. I wondered if that was me on the table, but I was higher up. How did I look now? And I raised my left hand to my eyes to reveal the stunning gold, soft and glowing, translucent shape with tiny glittering sparkles inside. It was the most stunning thing I'd ever seen, and I turned my hand over, held it up, and stared, amazed that this was my hand. I'm so beautiful, I remember thinking. It was strange that I had no recollection of my waking life. Outside of that moment, I had no sense of time. I exist now with no past or future. Love warmed me and wrapped its beautiful self around me. At that point, I had no concerns. I had no awareness of my children who were asleep in their beds, or of my husband who was sleeping beside me. I had no idea there was a life, a body, or a world outside of the one I was in. It was similar to how we feel in this world when we see heaven. We don't see it, think about it, or even notice it. This is the only world. That was the end of it for me. I admired myself. They were all fantastic. This is also difficult to explain. All my rage about my weight, or things I wish I hadn't done, or how I treated people, or my bills, my debt, my day-to-day worries, my concern for my family, it was all gone. The all-encompassing love washed it away. We love on earth, but with that love comes worry and concern. Is he in love with me? Did I do the right thing by him or her? Was I being too harsh? Was there not enough love? That didn't appear to exist. But as I was admiring myself, a feminine voice said, "Stop admiring yourself. You have a job to do." This voice was not angry or reprimanding, but rather amused by my delight or self-assessment. Her remark sparked a thought about my job, and that thought sparked my movement, and I flew like a wisp, like a golden, glittery smoke trail, fast with a target in mind. I believe that my thought and intention to move caused me to move. I remember feeling light and free. It was so simple, far more convenient than walking or even sitting. I flew over what appeared to be an office inside the building, which perplexes me because I couldn't or wouldn't stop to get a better look at it. Workers were seated beneath me in that office. They were seated at their desks. Some people were on the phone. Some were filing papers behind their desks in a cabinet. Some were sitting at their desks, writing. I approached one woman who was sitting in a swivel chair, holding the phone in the crux of her neck as she spun her chair from her desk to the filing cabinet and placed something in the files. My reason for being there grew stronger as I got closer. I knew I was on my way to assist someone, and the more I thought about her, the faster I flew, until I came to a set of stairs. This is difficult to explain because while the stairs appeared to be in an office building, just like any other flight of stairs, I'm not sure they were. I believe they were special stairs. And I realized that makes no sense, but they were not my focus. She certainly was. I could sense her anxiety and sadness. I knew it was my responsibility to help her up the stairs and stay with her. She refused to climb the stairs. She was scared. Her hair was white and pulled back in a low bun on her head. I don't remember her clothes, and I'm not sure I ever saw them, but I do remember she was dressed. She was quite old. She was probably in her 70s or 80s. I had to stick by her side and encourage her to climb. Despite the fact that I didn't speak, she couldn't see or hear me. I sent her feelings of warmth, love, and assurance that everything would be fine. It took a while, which seemed like an hour, but I'm not sure if time was involved. I just know it took a long time to win her over. She finally got to the top, and it opened up to this bright, white area covered in fog or clouds. There were no structures, no sky, and nothing but fog. Although fog may sound gloomy, this was not a gloomy place. It was very well lit. I knew it was the limit of my abilities. I couldn't have gone any further if I had tried. I was not permitted. She advanced toward a small arched bridge, and I kept sending her encouraging messages. She vanished or was enveloped in clouds when she crossed that bridge. But as soon as I got over it, I was sucked backwards like a straw. I had no say in the matter. In bed, I was sucked back into my body. With a start, I awoke. This is the part that I've remembered for the past 12 years. I couldn't figure out where I was. I felt heavy in my body, as if I'd been filled with concrete, and I despised it. I wasn't coherent for a brief moment, and I couldn't figure out why I was so heavy. Then a realization hit, and all of life's problem came flooding back to me. It was as if someone reintroduced me into this body, and as I filled up, I awoke. The love had vanished, replaced by the mundane worries of what to cook for breakfast, what time I needed to get up to take my son to school, and my bodily needs of bathing, using the toilet, and eating. I wanted to go back. I wished to return. I didn't want to be in this heavy, depressing body, but I couldn't go back. I lay there crying, and my life is good here. That is what is so deceptive. My life is good, healthy, and easy. My husband and I have a wonderful, long, and loving marriage. I have 2 angels for children. My life's bright spots, a beautiful home, a car. So when I went to bed, I didn't want to leave. But now, I'd felt something I didn't understand and hadn't felt before. For days, weeks, and months, I couldn't figure out what had happened. I believe I told my husband, and he, of course, said it was a fantastic dream. When I told my friend, they said it was a dream meant to show me my true beauty. And for a while, I convinced myself that it was all a dream. It was more convenient to think of it that way. But what dreams do you recall from the previous 12 years? What dream makes you forget about your life and your problems? What dream can fill you with a love so pure, powerful, and accepting that it makes your love for your children seem insignificant? I've never met anyone who's had a similar experience. The closest I've come is to those who've had near-death experiences. They're the closest I've come to experiencing love, light, and an out-of-body experience. What exactly was it? What was I doing? I wasn't high, and I don't drink. I'm not a smoker. I've never tried marijuana. I know that people can wake up in their dreams, but this was not one of them. Outside of my body, I never looked at my hand. I made the decision to examine my hand. I made the conscious decision to move my body. I had the concepts, but I didn't choose to return here. And I'm not sure what you mean. People who'd had NDEs advised me to accept the beauty and recognize that I'd been shown something special. I agree, but I'm still curious about what that beauty was. On my mother's deathbed in 2012, after she was diagnosed with terminal stage 4 colon cancer in 2010, I asked if she wanted to hear my dream. I always say it that way because no one believes it any other way. That was something I'd never told her before. And while she was in the hospital a few days before she died, I felt compelled to tell her. I'm not sure if that was just me worrying about whether I should or if someone was pushing me from the other side. But the desire, the need to tell her, never went away. It's almost as if I'm being harassed. I even asked one of the hospice nurses if I should do it. Finally, I decided to simply ask my mother. She stated that she would. She was attentive. When I was finished, she asked if the woman ever returned. I told her no because that's what I knew at the time. I'd never seen her come back. And now, I wish I hadn't told her I didn't know. I'm glad I told her right away. She became unable to speak a day or two later, shortly after that. I was unable to respond at all because I couldn't get out of bed. I listened to her death battle and watched, hoping for some indication that she was crossing into a place with relatives who could help her. Her eyes were fixed and open but unresponsive before she left us. She looked up at me, then up at my brother, who was sitting at the foot of her bed. She was staring at the ceiling. Then she died on August 6, 2012, while I was holding her wrist and feeling her pulse stop for good. I'm hoping she's in that state of love and light, and I wish more than ever that someone could confirm what happened to me.